Greetings. Let's get you some informational interviews. This is a two-part video series with the first part being a very short, less than 10-minute PowerPoint presentation on best practices. And number two, the second video will go into LinkedIn and will demonstrate our lessons learned. So here we are. Part one, the definitive video guide to getting you behind the scenes to access that hidden job market on LinkedIn. There's really a two-step process in getting these information interviews. And before we even go into what the steps are, the most important thing to keep in mind is to get an informational interview, you need to form a relationship with professionals who work in your target companies. If you don't have target companies, give me a call. I'll help out. So forming a relationship with someone on LinkedIn is really about number one, inviting them to connect using a note that demonstrates what your connection is. We'll talk more in detail. Number two, asking them for a coffee or a conversation with disarming wording, stressing career advice and not, hey buddy, do you have a job for me type language. You actually must keep up the relationship, let's say on a monthly basis, by sending them a friendly email or note within LinkedIn, just so you can stay top of mind with them. The idea is you're creating a long-term relationship. Now, what are some of the commonalities that you might have with contacts? Well, the first question is, well, Mike, why do I have to use commonalities? Well, the answer here is that although you can connect with anybody on LinkedIn, if you don't have any commonalities, the probability that they'll accept your invitation in my mind is less than 10%. And of those 10%, probably less than 10% of 10% or 1% will actually give you a call. So I really find that you have to really stress for those commonalities. So what are commonalities? High school, same college, same graduate school. You work for the same former employer. Or to the extent that you and others have indicated such on LinkedIn, you belong to the same fraternity or sorority, volunteer organization, professional society. Any kind of link that you have with somebody is a basis for a commonality. Now, in terms of just some comments about commonalities, it doesn't matter that you graduated 20 years ago and the contact graduated 10 years ago or 30 years ago. It doesn't matter that in my case, I left Credit Suisse in 2007 and the contact still works there, or left in 2000. It doesn't matter. You need to be as aggressive as possible. So just some special comments on second connections here. First of all, what is a second connection? Well, you and the contact both are first connected to the same person. I know Bob Smith. The person I'm trying to contact knows Bob Smith. So therefore, we both, quote unquote, know Bob Smith. Really, we're both connected to Bob Smith. Now, you probably have a better chance at having second connections at a potential employer versus any other commonality just by the numbers game. However, second connections are not as strong as other commonalities. So if you invite second connections, which I suggest you do, then you have to compensate for a weaker relationship by higher volume. So therefore, you have to reach out to hundreds of second connections to really compensate for this variable. So when you invite somebody using a note on LinkedIn, always include a note in your invitation. Always, always, always. Your note should mention your commonality. So let's look at some examples here. Greetings, Penn 88 wishes to connect. Greetings, Merrill Lynch alumnus wishes to connect. Or when you have a second connection, greetings, we both know Bob Smith wish to connect. Whatever that commonality is, always, always, always include a note with your request to connect. So once someone is connected with you, well, what do? How do you get them to grant you that conversation or that coffee? Well, number one, you should get back to the person within 48 hours of them accepting your invitation. Anything longer, the trail will just simply be cold and it'll be that much more difficult to make it warm. So what would you do in terms of language? So somebody's connected with you, you hit the message button, as we'll describe a little bit more in the next video. What do you say in that message button or with the message button? I would say something like, Bob, thanks for connecting with another Penn alumni. I'm a 10-year IT executive exploring new full-time opportunities and would value your career advice. Would you have time for a coffee or short 15-minute call early next week? Do not ask for job anything. Matter of fact, jobs should never even appear in your correspondence. You're not contacting them for a job. You're contacting them for career advice. The job is the end goal, but career advice is the intermediate goal. Keep in mind what the intermediate goal is here. So volume reach out really is the key. If you want a job, you must be aggressive. So my suggestion is you send volume invitations frequently. Can you send 20 or 30 or even 50 invitations per day, per week? That would be fantastic. However, just as a side note, don't send more than 75 invitations per day, or else the LinkedIn police will potentially give you an issue. Great. So thank you very much. We'll see you on the next video where we can demonstrate some of the learnings here.